G'day everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Melbourne Pro Punters panel. As usual, our Melbourne analyst, Darren Potter.
Good to have you back, Juppy.
I don't know where we've been, but we're back.
Hey, you're Waterbull, like you were down there in Waterbull, filming shows, doing a good job with the ventriloquist.
And Sydney analyst, Mark Roden, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it was a fun few days down there. We had Wardy with us, who hit the crossbar a few times, but managed to find a couple of winners, and we found a couple of winners over the jump, so geez, it was a heap of fun 3 days, but I can tell I'm getting old. Got down there Monday night. Monday night consisted of 7 Melbourne stubbies and a game of Monopoly. Went to the races Tuesday. I was running the interstate stand. Still looking forward to an explanation from our learned colleague up there in New South Wales how the kangaroo going through the field wasn't a no race.
Shit, it's just not good.
Just a bit of a swing there. I'm not that I'm bitter about it or anything. Tuesday night, headed down to the Whalers, had 4 beers, was ready to go home, got to the door, was about to walk out when the rest of the people that I was working and staying with were at the front of the line and said, "Oh, we're with him." Back in we go, 3:45 I got home. Then went and worked Wednesday, needed the protest at Canterbury to be upheld that day. They rewrote the rules of racing that day, that was good, well done Dalton. So there was that, and then we were all, after the 4:45 finished the night before, we finished up just having KFC and playing Uno on Wednesday night, and we've never felt better come Thursday morning for annual and cup day. But it was a Pete Downs, well done Pete, it's such a great carnival down there. I know people were umming and ahhing about, sort of the chat was whether the crowd was actually up, but I think what Pete's done really well down there is he's managed to convert a lot of those people that would have just been general admittance punters into people that were booking a package, come and sit in the marquee. There was still plenty of betting. The big syndicates were really active down there. They love it down there, and there was some real good quality racing, and it just goes to show that those, and they do throw Weir in as a local, but all those blokes down there, whether it's Weir or Beetroot or Mitchy Freeman or Dan Bowman or even Jared had a few in his name, the local blokes really do target that carnival. And another bloke that needs a big shout out who came and introduced himself to me is Lumpy Lumsden, who's the track manager down there. He did a magnificent job to run. He's run 30 races, all with capacity fields over 3 days. They were blessed by weather. There wasn't much rain. There was a little bit of rain on the Tuesday morning, but after that it was clear. The final day was beautiful. But he's basically running a Flemington Carnival in 3 days with, I would say, if he had a 20th of the budget that Mick Goody's got, I'd be very surprised. So well done, Lumpy. It was just a brilliant carnival. Can't wait to get back there next year, and the next sort of big one to come up, Swan Hill.
I want to say, endorse those opinions on the track manager. Great job, a huge job and a great job. Can I also just say that for a while now, every time I bet at Warrnambool, I go and check Graham Hoy's Twitter. So thanks, Graham. Graham's a punter down there.
Yeah, he is. I met Graham at the Whalers when I was out there that night.
It's very kind of him to put those track reports out, and they are always right on the money.
Yeah.
So, good job, everyone. The only thing I would say to Warrnambool, if it's possible, I don't know if it's possible, but once they get past the jumps races each day, it'd be good to get back to 30-minute gaps, because 10 races, very long days.
That was mentioned. Hinksy, who I work for, Natalie Hinkley, she sort of said, like, we're desperate for these 30-minute gaps now because it's a long day, and if you're down there on the punt, it's a bit different because you don't need to be there for the first. Like, if you go out the night before and you get out about at 10 o'clock and you don't get to the track till 12 o'clock, well, you might have missed the first or the first two. But when you're working down there, like, I've got to be there an hour before the first, so I've got to be there at 10:30 at the latest, and Whitey did well, like, he came and helped me. We were trying to film that stuff, but you could see that as we were trying to film it, people were coming through and whatnot, so
that was very entertaining, some of the interlopers.
Yeah, there was. Johnny Walshy and Wayne Elliott, who just walked with his back to the camera, and even Robbie.
Very good.
But it was a really enjoyable carnival down there, and really well put together, and
great grand annual too.
Yeah. And the thing was, the only race that I can think of that's that's the Melbourne Cup, where there's an hour of betting for the Melbourne Cup leading up to it, and 10 or 15 minutes before that race, the ring's just empty.
Deserted, yeah.
And the annual's the same, because 10, 15 minutes before that, everyone empties out. They're either up on the hill or they're out on the lawn, but then there's no one left in the ring. So it was a great carnival. So
how did you get Mark? You ended up being a scratching. You didn't get a Guernsey in the Port Fairy house.
That was cruel. Yeah, thought we were certain to get down there this year, and as I think I mentioned last time I was on, I've never actually made it, but we've started negotiations already. We're 100 to 1 on for next year. So
that non-racing couple that took off. I mean, seriously,
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Fancy accommodation is impossible to get, and two people taking your beds, and they're not even going to go to the bloody races. That is as low as it gets.
It's not real flush. We had the big announcement on Saturday, boys. The much mooted announcement of the prize money increases. It appears they forgot about Moonee Valley.
Is that a clerical error or something?
Well, I don't know, but it's just
the picnics are getting a bump, aren't they? And the
much needed.
No, of course, your lobbying's paid off.
The picnic form stood up yesterday with Marlowe Man winning the. The
Friday Nighters, have they got a category all of their own? Are they the same as midweek prize money? I don't check.
Are they 30 or 40,000?
Sure. I haven't checked any. So did
40,
midweek metros get a bump or not? Well, surely if they did.
I'm not 100%. All I know is that what Michael Brown was saying this morning on the radio was that why would you run on Moonee Valley on a Friday night for 40 grand when you can go to a guaranteed $100,000 race the day after at either Flemington or Caulfield in a benchmark race?
I think I've already tipped my hand that I really don't care because I don't know any of the details. So I mean, it really doesn't mean much to me. I just don't.
You'll care, Potts, when you get to Saturday meetings and there's 20 horse fields every race because all these battles should be on Friday night.
They still want to win races, Juppy. Like trainers, what happens every race day is, on a 9-race card, there are 9 winners and there are maybe not the place getters, but the rest of the trainers are looking for an excuse. So we blame the tracks and everything else. So if they actually running races out of their grave, they don't really like doing that. So
I made a comment on Twitter last night and actually got a bit of traction, which is a pretty rare occurrence for me. And I described it as the Victoria New South Wales dick waving exercise. But look, that might sound like I think it's a bad thing. The prize money bump is a fantastic thing for Victorian racing for the participants. So I'm all for it. But it wasn't so much that. It was that 24 hours later, you're getting a chippy article in the Daily Telegraph saying, "Oh, we've still got more in New South Wales." Like, the punters, and you couldn't give a stuff. I mean, it is great for the participants, and if the competition is driving the prize money up, then maybe that's a good thing. But to me, it suggests the biggest problem in Australian racing is there's no national approach, and that's holding the whole sport back.
Oh, correct. Yeah, and we've been sort of on about that, whether it's rules or
the game's half what it should be.
Exactly.
And all the prize money comes from punters, and when they announce these things, they never think for a second, what can we do to make the environment better for punters? They obviously can't just hand over money to punters directly, but they should be thinking about. I mean, like, big tick to RVL this year for introducing the minimum bet rules. I think that would have helped turnover everywhere. But there are a lot of other things they've done that haven't really helped turnover, and helping turnover naturally helps punters. So if you do things to get the percentages down in markets and things like that, for instance, handing over control of the Victorian fluctuation to the corporates and making it like whatever it is, the 5th best bookie or something, is proving very unfair to punters, and that's the sort of thing that they really need to look at.
Yeah, the top flight product's ruined because of that.
Well, I'm actually having a spell at the minute because I got to the stage spots where I'd had enough. It was just a bit of a grind for me, and then I remember having a conversation with you about it, and we just looked at it, and I do a heap of my betting at top flight. So that's just I'm looking at another approach of how I'm going to do it when I come back, but.
The fluck really should. If they're going to insist on doing it as the whatever number bookmaker it is, it should start from the time the minimum bet laws kick in, because the real fluctuations now are actually happening prior to the 25-minute mark. It's only minor things that are happening in that last 25 minutes now.
It was strange. This is New South Wales, not Victoria, and obviously they don't have the same regime to gather the prices. But at Scone Friday, Saturday, a couple of bookies were betting top fluck on it, which was good of them.
Yeah.
But the Scone bookies paid no attention to the what the morning business had been on all the corporates. So things were 260 into evens, and they put up 6-4, and then they were knocked off straight away. But a fluck went out at 250. You know?
Can I tell you about some of these flucks?
Yeah, good on them, man. They want to get in their book.
Yeah.
Well, can I tell you about some of these flucks? I was on the receiving end of these when I was running that stand, helping with the interstate stand there at Warrnambool. Balaclava was on the Wednesday.
Right, yeah.
650 on a 440 Betfair call.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter when there's no one there and you don't have to lay it. When that's what's coming through on my screen, they're going at 650 on the screen. Not here it isn't, son.
How many did they put Balaclava these days? One
bookie. Yeah. Most of
He wouldn't have been in on it.
he probably been off getting a pie.
Well, it's each of two. He's either getting a pie or he's in it. It's,
yeah, but even then, it's
What's his name? The bookie down there at Balaclava. Joe. We'll call him Joe.
well, I don't know whether it was Barrington or whether it was Guthrie or one of those guys, but most of those.
Listen, Joe. It's I won't say a name.
Yeah, but
I could say a name, couldn't I? It's
yeah, but I mean, this is where I think if they're going to continue with this, like with the old way of gathering the prices, I mean, someone needs to tap on the shoulder. You do realise you're a $2 Harvey? But
that's not an accident, Joppy.
if you knew the bookies involved, it's an accident. I don't think they even know how to open Betfair.
Yeah, but I've heard many stories of big punting syndicates in venues where there's only one or two bookmakers making a call saying, listen, can you put this on your board? I'll cover you no matter if you get knocked off. Just so it goes in the flux and anyway.
I'm staggered.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Sorry, I'm making
but you can see the difference now between New South Wales and Victoria. And I know they looked at it very closely. They were going to do it when the minimum bet rule came in, similar to what we did down here in New South Wales, but they held off on it, and you can definitely see the difference. Because the top fluck up there is still competitive, where down here it's just not.
Well, there is the management of the fluck of the horses hard in the market is getting to play proportions. So some of the corporates are just engaging in like what would be borderline, like it'd be borderline legal. Like that, honestly, if the ACCC looked at them, some of their behaviour is uncompetitive.
You mean what, putting back on course to trim the price?
Well, it's not on course, is it?
No, we've got top fluck money for this. We'll trim it at the 32-minute mark or the 30-minute mark, knowing that even though it's been that price or more.
As soon as the previous race finishes, they're knocking off the price on anything they think is going to be they've got top fluck money for. It's just happening race after race.
I remember my former employees in the Melbourne Cup when Fiorente won and was favourite. We had a lot of money, and obviously being the best of four products, including SP, short on the totes. But the fluck got to 750, so it was decided we should try and knock that off if we could, and we just thought, well, we'll see what we can get on it. 20,000 on it at 750, shortened it from 750 to 7 in a Melbourne Cup. I mean, 20 years ago, that would have been one bookie and you wouldn't turn it off.
That's exactly the point.
20 and leave it there, you know. And the ring could only cost 20,000 for it.
Oh yeah.
So that's the ring though, right?
Yeah.
I think it's even worse because if you think, say race 6 has just run at Caulfield on Saturday, they've just got over the line. One of the corporates has got a heap of top fluck money for one or two runners.
Yeah.
They go to the other corporates because that's all they're going to do. They manage the big corporates.
Yeah.
And back a couple of horses.
The corporates don't have to bet each other though.
No, but the other thing is, all they have to do is shorten it to set the algorithm off too.
Well, that's true.
Sometimes they don't even need to even attempt to bet it back with one of the bigger ones. If
you
want to
turn it off yourself,
if you turn it off, they'll follow you.
That's right.
Especially if you're the big two that aren't the tail. Like if you're Sportsbet or Crownbet, if they turn it off, you can almost guarantee that the rest will follow.
Yeah. Well, they Centrebet running their own race to a large extent.
They are running their own race still, and. Have you guys been dealing much with them, or from the feedback?
I'd be wrapped if they got rid of what's currently top fluck off the call and just made whatever the top centre bet fluctuation was. I'd start using it again. That'd be great.
What a time to be alive that is.
What centre bet are doing is
like dragging me out of retirement.
You can beat the VAP alone, the top fluck on the VAP alone, by just having a centre bet account. Well, it might be one horse a race that you won.
And they'll. Well, you know, with the sort of robots who do the pricing in the morning, everyone's within a roll of each other.
Yeah.
Centrebet it seems to me it's a mixture of opinion or smart money. If they get the right mix of that, they'll be worst priced that horse
and just gap the rest.
That's dollars over. Everyone might be 6, they might be 8.
If they want to get them in, they'll get them in.
Yep.
Similar to what Cranbet do when they don't like one, they just don't have a price.
And the key to the punters is the way to tell the difference between the two things Mark just described is if it's just them on their own and there's a significant gap to other operators and it's sort of a bit all over the place, that's probably their opinion, or they had one reasonable punter back it. If it's one of the big teams, it'll be flat across the board.
That's true, because I was not going to
they do it at the same time.
Another thing that, and I might actually chase this up the next time I see one of the guys from Racing Victoria, is the way that the VOP structured. Is this up for a review at any stage? Because I listened to the podcast that a friend of ours, Trevor Lawson from Champion Bigs, did the other day. Because back in the day, you only had to see that price on 3 rails boards. There could be 20 blokes on the rails.
Yeah.
You only had to see it on 3, but now we're copping the 6th best corporate price. So whether that needs to be tweaked slightly to make it a little bit more competitive, because I think it's gone too far the other way now. It used to be reasonably in favour of the punter, but now it's gone too far the other way. And I think if we just tweak that and made it the 3rd or 4th best corporate, it might just bring that percentage down a little bit and make it a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, and even though I get the reasoning behind the VOP, but it's that infinitely more money is held by the corporates than the on-course bookmakers. That's obvious. But the fact is, it's still the same punters affecting the market.
Yeah.
The millions of $20 and $50 punters out there aren't changing the price. It's still the same handful of blokes who are knocking things off.
And it's not.
Same people who would have been
Can I just ask what was wrong with the previous system? If it's on 3 boards, so they can pick their pool of corporates, whatever they want, whatever 12 they want. If it's on 3 of those boards, that's the fluck. They've turned it upside down for no good reason other than to make the product uncompetitive.
You wouldn't have said, can you pick the 6th best price on the rails and that's the fluck?
No.
We wouldn't have said that at Flemington 2 years ago. They would have burnt the joint down.
Well, I think one of the reasons it is bookie friendly, this is a Victorian issue more than other states, and it was the same with them being so slow to bring in the MBL down here as well, is the taxation regime is very oppressive for the corporates down here.
Okay.
If you have a bad day, you're paying on turnover. You have a good day, you're paying on profit. They get you both ways. It's a premium is charged for the big race days.
And it's called a fee, not a tax.
Well,
so it's not reconciled.
No, and
so it's really unfair.
Yeah.
Because you can work for corporate A and I work for corporate B. Over a week we could have the same result and pay a completely different fee.
Yes.
Our turnover could be the same, our profit could be the same, but the way it falls, you get.
Yeah, that's right. And
We're not talking about what they can do for punters, RVL can do for punters.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing. That scheme is way too oppressive, and it's making the corporates behave in a way that's.
And the trade-off is from RVL is to they drag their feet with the MBL, and now they've introduced a pretty bookie-friendly fuck gathering mechanism, and that's because they've hammered them with the fee, and they want to take their foot off a bit with the others.
So punters know, like on a normal day, I think it's 1.5% if you for the bookmaker if you lose.
Racing is 1.5.
And Victoria, isn't it? Because it's up to 3 on the big day.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's what?
And 30% profit.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong on some of the details, right? But at 1.5 and 15%.
Yeah, right.
On a normal
day.
But on any day where there's a listed race,
then it doubles.
It's 3% or 30% of revenue.
So
if a bookmaker has a losing day, he still pays
3%.
It still pays 3%. If he has a winning day, he pays 30%.
Well, that's the thing. If all the favourites got beat on Derby Day, your race fields would be through the roof. You'd pay 30% of what you won there.
And then if it flips on Cup Day, then you get slugged with the turnover line.
Well, you could do your life and still pay tax. So, it's pretty oppressive.
Yeah, it does make it.
They all link in together, those issues.
Take up arms, guys. Who wants to take out a bookmaker's licence? Sounds like a great idea.
Well, if you keep your turnover under a certain threshold, you don't have to pay it. But I think it's only 5 million.
Yeah. So there's a couple of little issues, but I know that one had been troubling me about the VOP. I think there has to be some wiggle room there to just swing the pendulum back a little bit. This way, Potts, we had a reasonably It was a winning card for you there on Saturday. It was a Caulfield. It was a handsome card, and you went out there and spoke to Jason Kerr again and did a video with him.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
I'm loving watching those.
Yeah, I'm going to do it with, like, all the track managers are keen to do it, so it was the only stumbling block. Well, I didn't have the Flemington on it before because I didn't have someone to hold the camera.
Note yourself, we will be purchasing pots of tripod.
Yeah, so this week, we'll solve that problem, and Mick Roy and I will put something together for the punters. Before I start, Jumpy, I just want to have a big shout out to a good friend of the show, Rexy.
Hello, Rexy.
We're going to do a new show. Rexy's punting. What do we call it? Rexy's punting guide from exotic locations.
Okay.
Rexy's chimed in on Saturday from the Maldives.
Of course he is.
So I picked the other one out here, punters. In the last 12 months, Rexy's chimed in from Hawaii, the Maldives, I think it was somewhere in the Whitsundays, I can't remember, somewhere up in Queensland, and Bacchus Marsh.
Spot the other one out there.
But he wasn't at like a father-son camp at Bacchus Marsh, and they had no mobile coverage, but Rexy still found a way.
Speaking of no mobile coverage, or just lack of coverage, absolutely holding Scone back. Apparently it's very patchy to get mobile or internet there. But continue on, like, I thought I went to exotic locations, it's just Rexy who goes to fancier ones than I do. I go to places like Wodonga.
Well, he's the best. He is the best. So if there's a good day to be had, Rexy will find a way. So anyway, we won 42 units on Saturday, so it was good to have one of those days. Now, punters will, I think I've mentioned this previously, last year we had a winning year, but the year was cruel in a way by the 6 weeks between the second half of April and May. In that period last year, I knocked off 220 units. It was a complete disaster. So I put a lot of effort this year into finding out what was behind that, what I had to adjust, making adjustments to deal with those issues, and so far in that same period we've had 4 weeks of it. We're plus 80 units or something.
Fantastic. Great turnaround.
It's, that makes all the difference.
Yep.
You know? It's those periods where if you can avoid those really bad runs, they'll limit them as much as you can. That makes all the difference to your year. So I'm really happy with that. The Pots Play service has been going pretty well. There's a good week last week, so I'm sure that's back well and surely in the positive. So.
There's one reason behind all this.
Because you've got to.
Yeah. I've gone to have a rest. I've gone to the spelling pad again. Of course, everything she said is shit.
So subscribers out there, we might have to pay Juppy a bit of a stipend.
Send me to the Maldives next. It'll be, you'll more than make it up.
Very good. So yeah, no, it was a good day yesterday. We found the first. I'd say that 2-year-old found the next 6 winners, and then knocked off a little bit late, but not. I didn't bet in the last race, so that was okay. And didn't manage to find Run Gypsy Run, who's gone particularly well there in that race, which to the eye looked like a slow run race, but it's okay. And it was the best performance of the day there on Saturday. There's not much that's super, but Ompakalo's done a good job. He can win again. Philberg's done a great job. He's got more Saturday wins in him.
There's a horse that I need to ask.
There was a horse behind Ompakalo. Darren Weir's 2,000 metre horse. What's it called? Kalani Kid.
Yeah.
It'll be winning races when it gets to 2,000 metres. Anyway, that'll do.
Well, there is a horse I need to ask you about, Potts. He missed the plane, Mongolian Wolf, so he thought he was just going to bowl around there and win at $1.70. He went with a busted ass.
Well, I mean, that's the trap of the handicap ratings. That race in Sydney that he won was tragic. Like, Mark will be able to tell you more about that than me, but they were absolutely falling apart in the last 300 to 400 metres of that race in Sydney, and I would avoid that form like the plague unless the horses are coming back in distance.
That was the race Akatul was even money favourite in off the big spike winning the Carbon Club, I think, and he got beaten 20 lengths or something in that race. So that's that race. Yeah.
It was just a race where all the horses were. There was something had to win it, and he happened to win it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with 3-year-olds. Your point about the handicap ratings is spot on because they get blasted at 15, 20 points for winning a group race like that because they're so lightly raced, their rating's nothing. Then they win a run like that, and they're in the group level weight straight away.
And it takes a hell of a long time to come down for them too.
You might be no good.
Yeah. Well, they've run a reasonably quick time there today in that race only because they went so fast early that they were all falling over late.
But if you weighed the shorts, you would never ever ever a chance. It was just never.
No.
I think I marked him 7-2, and that was the shortest I could have
Yeah, right.
possibly marked him.
Just,
And no, I did fall into an each way bet on Fontaine Lab, and geez, Nikita didn't quite cover herself in glory there. But such is life. And the winner, I had second or third pick. Managed to not put it on the betting plan because it was coming off the synthetic, and it's got out to remarkably good odds all out above. But anyway,
You mentioned Nikita there, Bots. Hello, Nikita. Bumped into her in the Wales there on the Wednesday night. Just doing a good job. That'll probably do us for part one. We'll come back with part two and we'll have a chat about Scone and how Rat's been going and how the Dazzler's settled into the desk there at
Yep.
at good